may be excused to the nursery.
Children's ministry.
That's what I meant. Thank you. That's what I meant. Come on, little baby. That requires changing diapers, and so that's not a good thing, right? Yeah. And Pat is like, oh, you're pushing it. Okay, so I'm excited about you. Are y'all enjoying the series?
Yes.
Okay. If anything, it's just informative. It's important for us to know what's in the Word, you know, and everything that's in there is for us, right? As believers, and so we need to understand what's in there so that we can know what to do with it, right? So we have been studying about fasting, and today this one hits home just. This hits home for me. But we are talking about the Daniel fast. Okay? And this one is something that everyone here has heard about. Correct? You've seen it on TV. There's Dr. Colton, or he's written a book about it. You know, there's all kinds of websites that you can go to. There's a lot of churches that do the Daniel fast together. And the Daniel fast is this. This is God talking. It says, "Is this not the fast that I have chosen for you? That your healing shall spring forth speedily." Okay? So this particular fast is for physical problems of health and for physical healing. Okay? And so we find the story of Daniel in the book of Daniel. So if you want to turn in your Bibles, the scripture will also be on the screen. But we're going to read Daniel 1:5 and then Daniel 1:8-16. Let's read his word. It says, "The king assigned them a daily amount of food." Let me just give you a little overview of Daniel. Basically, he had been taken along with some other comrades of his captive, and so what they did is when they captured people, they actually took the cream of the crop. Okay, physically, physique, mentally, for their intellect, and they brought them over, and when they captured them, they were going to use them for their purposes. So they basically were training them both in the mind and in the physical. And so Daniel and 3 of his friends had been taken in by the king, and so once they're there, they have to go through this training process, and so this is where we start. It says, "The king assigned them a daily amount of food and wine from the king's table, and they were to be trained for 3 years, and after that they were to enter the king's service." And then in Daniel 1:8-16, it reads, "But Daniel," don't you love that? The king had a plan. But Daniel resolved not to defile himself with the royal food and wine, and he asked the chief official for permission not to defile himself this way. Now God had caused the official to show favor and sympathy to Daniel, but the official told Daniel, "I am afraid of my lord the king, who has assigned your food and drink. Why should he see you looking worse than the other young men your age? The king would then have my head because of you." Well, Daniel then said to the guard whom the chief official had appointed over Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, "Please test your servants for 10 days. Give us nothing but vegetables to eat and water to drink. Then compare our appearance with that of the young men who eat the royal food, and treat your servants in accordance with what you see." So he agreed to do this and tested them for 10 days. And at the end of the 10 days, they looked healthier and better nourished than any of the other young men who ate the royal food. So the guard took away their choice food and the wine they were to drink and gave them vegetables instead. So basically what we see here is a type of fast. It's not a complete removal of sacrifice of food. But what it is, it's removing, what he did is he removed himself from what we call party foods, finger foods, and junk food. Because off the king's table came the riches, right? wine and greasy chicken and whatever they served back then, lamb, and just choice stuff that would cause a heaviness on a person and maybe cause them to gain weight and so forth. It was junk food of that time. And God had purposed him in his life to what? Follow him. And not for him to defile his body. He knew that his body was a temple. He knew that he served the one true God. And he knew who took care of him. And if you read the book of Daniel, you'll see from that point forward that God never lets him go. He continues to hold on to him because of his obedience to him and his sacrifice in this particular thing and other things, because Daniel was just a man of God. And so, in this particular fast, we have a prescription for the Daniel fast. Okay? And the very first thing is, in step 1, when we're going to attempt or do this fast, we need to be very specific. Okay? Daniel was very specific in this fast. He told the servant of the king, the official, he basically said, look, I know from experience, from what we've eaten, that this is good for us. You know, it makes us feel good, we're physically fit, our minds are sharp. And so he specifically said, I don't want to eat from the king's table and have wine and other choice foods. Okay? So he was very specific with the servant. He didn't just say, I'm not eating that. It was something that had to do with what God had put on him, because he knew that his body was a temple. So he basically defined the problem. Okay, immediately he was just, that's where we get the whole but Daniel. But Daniel resolved, you can say to me that that's what you want me to do. He didn't argue with them. He didn't fight with them. But he was very specific on what he wanted the official to do. He's like, okay, look, I know I'm here, and I just have to resolve to the fact that I'm here, and I'm going to go through this program no matter what. So, I need to be what I know I need to be, okay? So that on the other side, I can serve the way I should serve. So basically, he rejected the delicacies. And do you ever ask yourself why? You ever say, why did he do that? Well, there's actually several reasonings, if you will. The first one is that maybe it was because the king's food was against the Jewish dietary laws. It could have been completely against the Jewish dietary laws. And so him and his friends, they were Jewish, and so that was like, okay, we can't eat it because of this. The other thing is that Daniel and his 3 friends had vows against partaking of the alcohol, the actual wine that was included in it. So it could have been just that they didn't want to partake the wine, and so that's why they did it. And the third thing is that the king's food could have very well been offered to idols, which is it's the demon. So that could have been the reason too, because then they would be not only sinning against their own bodies, but sinning against God by eating food that had been offered to an idol. So the exact reason that Daniel refused the king's meat really isn't clear. I mean, nobody can kind of pinpoint it and say, but there are 2 principles, however, that are evident here. And it's that Daniel felt, whatever it was a religious test of his faith. And he knew it. And so he said basically he would not defile himself. So it was a test of his faith, whether or not he was going to go against what he knew was right. And the second thing is, the second principle is that Daniel had a desire for a strong physical body in which to serve the Lord, as we all should. Right? We really all should desire a very strong, physical, healthy existence, because that's the only way that we can truly serve the Lord to full capacity. Because if we ourselves, and I'm not, this may not be the fast for you. I think it's actually a good fast for all of us. But, when we're healthy and we're strong and we're eating the right things and our mind's clear, boy, God can use us very easily. But when we're sluggish and we're tired because of the junk food that we eat, and I know that Like if I eat too many carbs, my body hurts, I'm sluggish, I'm not sharp in my mind. But if I take the carbs out of my diet and I eat fish and chicken and vegetables, I feel so much better. And so the diet is very healthy for all of us. And it's something for us to really, look at. So anyway, we need to be specific. When we go, if you're going to attempt this fast and do this and do it over a period of 10 days to start with and then add on to it as you go, this is one of those fasts that you can just do forever. Because, if you just cut junk food out of your body, and sugar alone will cause you to have a foggy mind. Anybody that drinks more than 1 or 2 sodas a day, that's not good for you. Because all that sugar is, and that's my personal opinion, so I don't want to, stand up here. I'm not Dr. Oz, but I know that Dr. Oz said that. But anyway, the sugar itself, it feeds on cancer. There's just so many things about sugar. It's just so bad. It makes you foggy in your head when you can't think. It puts the weight on you. I know a long time ago that I used to love Diet Dr. Peppers, and although they were diet, they were still very bad for me. And then as soon as we stopped and we took all of the sodas out of the house, I probably lost 7 pounds. It was immediate, like in 2 or 3 weeks. And it was because I wasn't drinking sodas. So, there's a lot to learn from this particular fast, okay? And remember, it's twofold. It's for the physical healing of your body, okay? And then the other thing is for health. It's for your physical health. So a healing could be that, there's something going on in your body and you need to fast and get healthy because you're trying to overcome some kind of a disease in your body. And the other thing is just you know that you're not healthy, you're not strong, and you know that you're not living as much for the Lord in your physical, and then you want to fast so that you can become healthy. The second thing is step 2. You need to fast as a spiritual commitment. You don't just need to fast because you look in the mirror and you say, okay? It really, because Daniel's, his whole purpose, it was a spiritual thing. He knew that he was living for the Lord. And in order to be strong in his mind, intellect, he was very smart. They learned very quickly the ways of the land. And he moved up and he became the king's dream advisor. There was just amazing things that happened to him that the Lord was able to do through him because he kept himself alert. Okay? But, it's not just about the diet. It's not just about the physical part, but it is about the spiritual part. And it tells us in Daniel 1:8 that Daniel purposed in his heart that he would not defile himself. So he had made a vow way before that didn't have anything to do with the physical physique. It had everything to do with his heart. He had purposed in his heart. He had made a commitment. And it was a spiritual commitment. It wasn't just about the physical. The third step is that we need to reflect inner desire by our outer discipline. And I'll tell you, we're all guilty of this. So many of us, we have this inner desire to have a better health. Is that not true? You can wake up every day and say, I am going to go walking today. I am not going to eat that stuff. I am going to stay away from those foods. I'm telling you, I'm just going to be flat out honest. That is me. I tell myself and I do good for a little bit, and then, bam, I don't know what happens. It's just like a donut floats by me. And I'm all on it. Seriously. It's visions of sugar plums dance in my head. But I'm real bad about that. And the thing is that, we can't discipline ourselves. It's there on the inside. We have a desire, and we really want to do good, but we can't discipline ourselves. We can't stay away from the junk food. We can't, avoid party foods. We don't know how or what to do when those things arise because we're lacking discipline. Daniel didn't lack discipline. Okay, that's something we can learn and gain from him. But see, our reflection needs to be the same on the inside as it is on the outside. We can't have this teeter-totter, this seesaw of like, I really want it. I mean, I cannot tell you how long God's been telling me. And I just keep ignoring it. And he's getting louder and louder. And I know that I need to do something because, you know, we all know what happened last summer. I don't want to be at that same place, you know. And so I know that it's for a reason. So if God is tapping on you and telling you in any shape or form that you need to make a change in your exercise, make a change in your diet, you need to listen to him. You know, and y'all tell me that too. Jennifer, you need to listen to him. Because he's telling us for a reason. Because he knows the purpose he has for us, right? The plans that he has for us. So he knows where he needs you to be in order for you to fulfill the things that he wants you to do. So if you're not in a physical form, what if he wants to send you to Malaysia or India or, you know, I don't know, Paris? Okay? But I'm just saying that if he can't do it, if he says, you know what, physically, they're not going to be able to handle that. You know, it's hot there, they'll be walking in the jungle, I need to get, and if, you know, you absolutely have no idea what God is planning for you. And I'm praying that it's amazing things like that. You know, even if it's just walking the streets in Houston. I'm being serious. You could be ministering, that could be your mission field. But if you're not physically fit to go walk the streets of Houston in the hot heat, to hand out pamphlets or waters or spend time with people and pray and stuff, he's not going to call you. You know, and a lot of people over the years, you know, that I want to be used. I want to be, and it's like, okay, are you fit? Are you healthy? Are you ready to be used? So we need to really think about that. But the inner desire needs to reflect the outer discipline. The physical health that you seek from God may be more than an answer to prayer. And your physical health may be linked to any of the following factors. Don't be offended. Your food choices. You have to modify your diet and pray for God's wisdom to make appropriate choices of food in your diet. And God may say you need to add some and you need to delete others. Okay? So it could be that it's, you know, it's just not something you can pray about. When you fast, you know, you really need to make a conscious decision of what is it that I'm trying to do and why. You make that spiritual commitment, and then you really take a look at your food choices. What are you doing? How are you living your life? The next thing is that your spiritual commitment is reflected in constant prayer during your fast. That it's going to show your spiritual commitment while you're fasting and you're praying will be reflected. And so the more time you spend in prayer, the more time that you spend asking for God's wisdom and his strength to overcome not being able to control yourself, right? And this is, you know, could be not just food. You know, it could be the opposite, like, you know, the issue with the wine or whatever. If that's an issue, that's something that you need to think about too. You know? Because that is unhealthy. It's unhealthy for our bodies. So, you know, that could be part of it too, that God might be saying you need to take that completely out of your diet. I know people that, you know, have been, you know, just, you know, not drinkers, but they would have a glass of wine every night or every other night, and then they got to a point in their life where they felt like God was just saying, I can't do this anymore. You know, I can't, because it's just not good for me. You know, so, you know, it's your spiritual commitment should be reflected as you pray and you go through the actual fast. And then the other thing is your time commitment. You need to make sure that while you're doing this fast that you commit or you stay committed to whatever it is that you committed to. So if you said, I'm gonna try this fast, I'm gonna do this, you're not trying to, you either do it or you don't. But I'm going to do the Daniel fast, I'm going to do it for 10 days, and you commit yourself to those 10 days. Don't stop on day 9. Don't stop and say, oh my goodness, I just want a cheeseburger, and I can't do this, Just, stick with it. Show God, okay, that you're committed to it. Because the blessings come in obedience, okay? And so we need to stay committed in our time. And, I kind of look at it along the lines of an antibiotic. And we've all been bad about this, right? You get an infection, you're real sick, you go to the doctor, he says, here's your antibiotics. Make sure you take these all the way to the end, to the last pill. How many of you have stopped? We're all guilty of that. Until I got a little bit older and I'm like, okay, this isn't smart. The wisdom kind of kicked in and I'm like, he's telling me that for a reason. He didn't say, hey, when you feel better, just stop taking them. He said, take them to the end. Okay? And it's kind of the same thing. When you make a commitment to God, you got to stick to it. Don't break that commitment. Because God looks at that. And the other thing is your testimony commitment. The Daniel fast is a statement of faith. It's a statement of faith to God that you want Him to heal you physically. And that you trust Him that He's going to heal you physically. It is a statement of faith. Because you're putting your faith and your trust in God, not in your own abilities. Because we all know what to do, right? Every one of us could have a rocking body if we really wanted to. That's right, even you, Betty. Every one of us, you know why? Because we have the knowledge and the information, but we don't have the desire and the discipline, right? So it's a testimony of faith to say, you know what, God, I understand that I'm lacking in a lot of areas in this. But I need you, and that's where the whole praying for wisdom, praying for control, praying that you will, that self-control is so hard to just walk by. But once you do it, and God sees that you're committed to it, it gets easier. It really does. Okay? So anyway, that is a statement of faith. So our testimony commitment, our spiritual commitment, our time commitment. Okay? And we need to check our food choices. We need to see what this is. Step 4 is that we need to pray to perceive sin's role in poor health. This is a touchy subject. Because sickness comes into the world because of what? Adam and Eve's sin. It is here. Okay? And they sinned against God. And it's here, and we live in a fallen world, and it is what it is. Whether you believe it or not. It is. And so the thing is that we need to take the time during our fast to pray. And for one, we need to ask God if there's anything that we haven't confessed, any sin from our past, okay, that is causing this. Some of us maybe have poor health because we're battling some issues in our minds. Okay? And we're not trusting God. We're not giving over to God. And we continue to sin. And it is just a proven fact, okay, ladies and gentlemen, that anyone that eats healthy and exercises is in better shape and lives longer. They live good lives. Okay? The other part of that is that, if we make bad choices, we're going to reap the benefits of that. They're bad benefits, but they're still benefits. They're negative benefits, but they're still benefits. And so we need to spend some time in prayer. Is there something that is a perpetual sin? Is it a besetting sin? A sin that just you're committing all the time, that you haven't let God take it out? It's, and I'll be honest, we all have besetting sins. We all do. And I'll never stand up here and tell you that we are perfect. There is no one perfect in this world. And if anybody ever says that they don't sin, run. Okay? Because that pride, woo, that's a really bad one. Okay, that's what got Satan where he was, or is. And so we just have to be careful, but we do. We need to check ourselves. We need to see if there's something going on in our spirit that is keeping us unhealthy, that is keeping us in that place of sickness, pain. in ill health. So the step 5 is that we need to fast as a statement of faith to others. See, Jesus recognized that some fast should be private, and he tells us that in Matthew 6:16. He says, when you fast, do not be like the hypocrites with a sad countenance, that they may appear to men to be fasting. Okay? He says, don't do that. But then there are times when you are going to be fasting, especially for the Daniel fast. I mean, I have friends that are just juicing and you know, they are just like the pounds are dropping. They're doing exactly what this is talking about. And they're a testimony, okay, to others. And so they can say, I'm on the Daniel fast, and it's amazing. I feel great. I have lost, you know, so many pounds. And because this is a partial fast for health and physical healing. This isn't something that you're, you know, an inside fast to help you spiritually, something inside that no one can see or even knows about. Okay? This is something that's going to affect your outer appearance. And that's okay for you to tell people, I'm on the Daniel fast. Okay? Glory to God, he's seeing me through it. You know? And I've lost this, I've done this. So there's a time that we need to understand that there are fasts that are a statement of faith to others. So when you modify your diet over a long period of time, others are going to see it. And they're going to think it's amazing and great. And you want to share that with them. So that they too maybe can do what you're doing. Step 6 is that we need to learn the effects of the foods that we eat. Basically, we just need to have knowledge. We need to have understanding. It's just like my daughter and I the other day were on the phone, and she was getting on to me about I'm anemic. And so she was like, well, do you eat the right foods? Do you do this? And she's going, so, and I know I know that what I'm doing is right. I know that what I'm eating is good. I don't eat always the right things. So just to show her, I went online and I looked up anemia, what you should eat, the greens and tofu, which, you know, I'm not a big tofu person, but, you know, just all the different things that have iron in them and stuff, and I sent them to her. But we need to be knowledgeable, okay, about the things that we're eating, the things that we're putting in our mouth, and why. What are the good, healthy effects of it? What are the negative effects of it? What kind of vitamins and supplements do you need to be taking in addition to the good foods that you're eating? It's just basically you need to have a knowledge and an understanding of what it means to be healthy. You know, you can't just make a change if you don't even know what you're changing to and why. Right? So we need to learn the effects of what foods do to us. And then the 7th thing is that we just need to yield all of our results to God. And understand that it's through Him that we even have any self-control. It's a fruit of the Spirit. It's not something that we can muster up. You know, we may pride ourselves and say, oh, I have self-control. Let me tell you what, no you don't. Because you're human. It comes from God. It's a fruit of the Spirit. It comes from God. So if you have amazing self-control, good for you for trusting God and leaning on Him. But give Him glory for that. And we need to, in this fast, we need to yield to that and realize that it is coming from Him and it's not coming from within. Because then you start to get a little prideful and arrogant and you're walking around like, look what I've done. You know, and I'm doing this. And the reality is that God's giving you the ability to do it. So, you know, and it tells us in Daniel, he says this, as you see fit, so deal with your servant. See, the consequences, he knew that if he didn't have a real awesome physique afterwards, he said, well, then you can deal with this. But he knew that he trusted God. He knew that it was all about God, what God could do, and not him. And so in that, he trusted, he yielded to the consequences of this fast. Right? Okay, so step 8, the very last one is that we need to deal with the possibility that the fast could fail. And there's several reasons. One of them is if you just terminate your fast or cut it short because you have a lack of commitment. You have a lack of self-discipline. Okay? You need to keep your commitment to God. If this is the fast that you choose to do, you need to keep that spiritual commitment because it's more than the physical. It's a deeper issue. Okay? The next thing is that we need to realize that some diseases are just so advanced that healing is not possible. And it happens. And a lot of people, they have this understanding and belief that if you just have enough faith, if you just read your word and you just stand on the promises, you have enough faith that you can heal yourself. And the reality is I've seen it done. I've seen it done many times. But the scripture says in Hebrews 9:27, it is appointed for men to die. So even if a healing does come miraculously, which is awesome and amazing, and God still to this day does that, it's still temporary. Because every man is destined to die. Okay? And I have seen it with friends of mine, and let me tell you, it gets to a point where they eat well, and I'm just we all know somebody that I'm talking about. He was an amazing man of God. Okay? He was a friend of mine and a friend of some of us that are in here. And he had cancer, throat cancer. He went through radiation, he went through chemo. Him and his wife did everything. They changed their diet. They did the Daniel fast. Not only did they do the Daniel fast, they did a lot of other fasts. They prayed. They pressed in. They called all their friends. And we would go and pray with them. We would be in agreement. And we all were people of faith. We would stand up there and we would say, God, we know that you are Jehovah Rapha. You are a healer. And if we come to you, okay? And we all stood on it. And guess what? He died. Does that mean we didn't have enough faith? No. Honestly, what it means is that God's will for him was that he took him at that appointed time. And he used that, okay, even though he was in his 50s, he used that for some purpose. And you may never ever see it, and you may never ever know why, but God does, and that's all that matters. And that's the faith that we need to have. It's the faith of knowing that we are within the will of God. And let me tell you, you don't know the will of God. You can't judge the will of God. We know that Jesus on the cross took all our iniquities, our pain, our disease. We understand that he took that. But we still live in a fallen world. We live in a world of sin. We live in an unhealthy environment. We make bad choices. People smoke. People don't eat right. People drink. People do drugs. There's all kinds of things that attribute. People go, if you've ever worked in the plants, it doesn't take long for you to get some kind of something. Seriously, environment, there's so many things that come into play. And so don't get discouraged if the fast doesn't work. Understand that it's God's purpose and his will, and we have to trust him in that. So we need to understand that all healing is from God. And this, physical healing or changing your health habits, this is one of those fasts that I think everybody can benefit from. It's not going to hurt you, and the results will just be greater because then God can use you. Not that he can't use you now. I certainly don't want you to think that, that God can't use you. Obviously I'm a little overweight. He's using me. So, but my point is that the more that we succumb to him, the more we're obedient, and we realize that our body is a temple. And it is his temple. The Holy Spirit, who raised Jesus from the dead, lives inside of you. He makes a house in there. And you have to think, is this house appropriate? Is it safe? You have to really think about that. Is the environment, kosher? Am I doing the right things, saying the right things, eating the right things, going the right places? That's what this is about. It's not just a physical thing. It's a whole encompassing fast. And so if this is the fast that you decide to do, I think that's great, wonderful. We still have 3 more to go. So, you don't know which one. You may do them all. I hope you do at some point in your life. But everybody, I think for this particular one, There's so much information on it. You can go online and there's nothing that is bad about being physically healthy. So, on that note, I'd like to spend some time before we take communion and get you just to think about and remember what Jesus did on the cross for you. And that He loves you. He loves you right where you are. But He wants to do so much more in you and through you. And so let's take some time to just reflect and see how He made a beautiful exchange for you.